But joining me first is Arkansas's Attorney General Tim Griffin, who filed a lawsuit on behalf of the state against Meta Platforms. That is the parent company of both Facebook and Instagram, and 2 lawsuits against TikTok, claiming they offer addictive content and don't do enough to protect children. Thanks so much for being here, Attorney General. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. And you can see I'm in the back of a rental car. I've been at a military meeting, and I appreciate y'all accommodating my schedule as I make my way to the airport.
Well, we appreciate your time, and this is a very important topic, and you've got the eyes and attention of a lot of people here in Arkansas. You allege that these companies are violating the Arkansas Deceptive Trade Practices Act. Tell us how that is.
Yeah, so just to be real clear, we have 3 separate lawsuits, one against Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, and then we have 2 against TikTok. Now, these lawsuits are not ultimately about the content, they're about the deception. There's a thread that binds or that connects all 3 of these. The commonality is deception. So first of all, with regard to the lawsuit against Meta, that is about the addictive algorithms that they use to suggest content to adolescents, to everybody, but particularly to minors. What's the deception? Well, they've made it very clear in front of Congress and elsewhere that they don't do that, that they're not in the business of trying to hook juveniles. But the facts, and obviously we have just filed suit recently, this will be a long ongoing matter with more facts coming out. But the facts that we've gathered indicate that's not true. They do, in fact, develop algorithms to addict young people. So that's number one. Number 2, the first lawsuit against TikTok is about access to the data of Americans, of Arkansans. And that lawsuit is about the fact that TikTok claims that no one in communist China has access or can have access to the data that they have of Arkansans or other Americans. We have facts that indicate that that is not the case. And that, again, is a lawsuit about deception. The third lawsuit, the second lawsuit about TikTok, relates to what content is available to minors versus what TikTok says is available. TikTok indicates that minors do not have access to adult content, drug use, sexual content, etc., that they do not have access to that until a certain age. The facts that we've gathered indicate that's not true. In fact, the algorithms that TikTok uses pushes that adult content to minors. Why would they want to have people believe that they don't do that? Well, because they get a rating on the Apple App Store or other app stores, and to get a higher rating, which helps business, they need to make the case that they're somehow protecting children from that content. So these are all about deception.
What are your biggest concerns as far as protecting children here in Arkansas from some of these deceptive practices that you're talking about?
Yeah, so I appreciate, look, you and I have known each other a long time. I think our kids went to school together. I'm not just an elected official in whatever other hats I might wear. One of the most important hats is, or the most important hat, is father. And I have 3 young children, and I see with regard to them what tools are available and what tools are not available. And I am mostly concerned that parents have the tools necessary, and not just the tools, but they have the information, that they're not misled about what's happening and what's not happening. If you were to believe Meta and TikTok, you would believe, number one, that they have not designed algorithms that that are addictive to youth. Number two, that the data of TikTok is protected properly and there's no problem there. And number three, that your minor is not able to see stuff on TikTok that you ought to be worried about. That's what you would believe if you believe what these companies are saying. That's not true. And parents ought to know that. And let me just say this. There's no one who's a bigger defender of the First Amendment than I am. Ultimately, this is not about the content in the First Amendment. First of all, this is about deception, which is not protected. Secondly, in this particular case, we're not talking about adults. We're talking about children that we regularly take steps on, whether it be the sale of alcohol, the sale of cigarettes, et cetera, gambling, whatever. We routinely take legislative steps to protect children and legal steps to protect children. So this just makes sense to me. And we're just at the beginning, but we certainly would love the opportunity. I would love the opportunity to join you as these lawsuits play out.
You know, Meta responded to a request for comment with its head of safety saying this: these are complex issues, but we will continue working with parents, experts, and regulators, such as the state attorneys general, to develop new tools, features, and policies that meet the needs of teens and their families. Now, the statement goes on to say that the company has developed what it says are 30 tools to support teens and their families, including tools that allow parents to decide when and for how long their teens use Instagram, along with age verification technology, among other things. But Mr. Griffin, you don't feel this is enough, do you?
Well, all of that, let's assume all of that's true. It is a complex issue. There are certain tools available. We're not suing them because they don't have tools. We're not suing them because it's not a complex issue. We're suing them because they're not telling the truth about the algorithms that they develop. So that's a typical bait and switch, right? Mm-hmm. So I sue them on deception. They answer about tools for juveniles. I hope they develop more tools. Good for you. But someone needs a tool for telling the truth. That would be a good tool to have over at Meta.
Well, it puts us in a compromising position as parents because you don't know really how to govern this with your own children because you don't really know exactly what the situation is. But, you know, regarding the law passed by the legislature requiring that parental consent, do you think that could effectively address the problem? Or we obviously probably need more than that.
Well, I think it is one tool in parents' toolbox. And ultimately, though, I will say this. We must start with a shared set of facts. We can't have different sets of facts. And if there's only one set of facts here, and the fact is what we're being told by Meta and TikTok is not true. So the first thing we got to do is get accountability and use one shared group of facts so that we as parents can react to those facts and make decisions based on fact. In the Army, we call it intel. If you have wrong intel about what's going on, you will make wrong decisions. And what I opine and what is the basis of these lawsuits is that what we're being told by the companies is inconsistent with reality. If a company sold you a product, any product, and they told you it was not harmful or it did this or that, and that wasn't true, and you relied on that, that would be a problem under the Arkansas Deceptive Trade Practices Act. We deal with that a lot. You've seen the news stories. You've covered some. In this case, deception is what we're talking about. And that's where my focus will remain so that parents at the end of the day can make good decisions about their kids.
You know, back to new state laws and legislation passed, your office would defend the state if a lawsuit were filed challenging that. And there, obviously then are suggestions this is a free speech issue, but do you feel the state law is constitutional?
Yeah, so I can tell you this. I was extremely active, as I think any attorney general should be, during the legislative session. And if I had concerns about the constitutionality of bills, I was very vocal, oftentimes behind the scenes, and letting people know what I thought was constitutional and what was not. I don't have any problems, any concerns about the constitutionality of this bill. Again, what we are talking about is juveniles. We routinely do things to protect juveniles. And I think this is another case of that. This is not a free speech issue. And remember, my suits are not about in TikTok and Meta or about deception. In this particular case, we're talking about age verification for juveniles. I see no constitutional concerns there.
All right, Attorney General Tim Griffin, we appreciate your time and joining us while you're on the road. Thank you so much for your thoughts on this and all the great information. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
We'll be back with more on social media and its effects on children after this.